This is definitely not a movie to watch with your parents ever.
Oh no. And make sure your children are asleep, like sound asleep, not like in and out of bed asleep.
So we're going to talk about Poor Things. And just so you know, there will be spoilers.
This is Bella.
Bye, bye.
Bella, this is Mr. McCandles.
Hello, Bella.
This movie I was so excited about when I first heard of it. I'm a big fan of the director Yorgos Lanthimos, and this film in particular completely overshadows anything that he's done, certainly from a technical standpoint, but it builds upon everything that he's done so far. And I would also say that this movie is just as absurd and grotesque as and upsetting at times as his other films, but this movie actually has a lot of heart to it, a lot less cynicism to it, and the character work is off the charts. But yeah, why don't you tell me what you thought of
Oh
it?
boy. I don't know. This is a big one for me. Okay, so one of the things that I do with these films is I try to go in and allow myself to enter the world of the film as open-minded as I can. So I saw a preview of this film. I really had no idea what it was about. And I thought, oh, is this like a everything everywhere all at once kind of thing? Like how bizarre is this going to get? So I kind of, had gotten myself in that mindset, and I'm really glad that I did because I had to really stick it out with this one. I have such mixed feelings about this. It was entertaining, it was funny, it was uncomfortable, it was frustrating. It just evoked a lot of emotion. I will give this film that. About halfway through the film, I was really uncomfortable. I did not like kind of this young woman in an adult woman's body going off on this escapade. And it was really unclear to me how old her brain was in this adult body. It felt to me like she was young, really young, like probably under 18 young when some of this sexual awakening occurred. So I was just really uncomfortable. And by the end of the film, I kind of had a feel good moment, which was unexpected to me. I didn't expect to like walk out of the theater feeling like feel pretty good about this.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. It took me on a roller coaster of emotions. And then as I thought about it more, like in the days following, I kind of again went back to that feeling of just that yuck factor kind of overshadowed the good for me.
Mm. Yeah, it does definitely live in that and kind of revel in it too. I would also say, without excusing that part of it, that what I love about movies is that it's sort of like a safe testing ground for all these big ideas. And the fact that it's presented as a fantasy, like a sort of like a steampunk version of the past with absurd cartoonish behavior makes some of those ideas a little bit more palatable. Yeah, it's definitely a tricky one. I really enjoyed it. I laughed a lot. It made me think a lot. It does kind of require a looking past sort of the larger implications of a baby's brain in in an adult body. But I loved that it was about somebody who was finding that they had agency and that they could actually, to the extent in that society, kind of control the terms of how she lived, regardless of what other people thought of that. Like the Mark Ruffalo character is completely, undone by this woman discovering that she has agency. He had one idea for how it was going to go, and then, it ends up being his undoing.
Definitely is a film that makes you think. And it's been I don't know, at least a week since I've seen it. And I continue to kind of roll it over in my mind and try to understand. And you said earlier in one of our conversations, films that are trying to accomplish something. I wondered with this film, like what was the goal here? Like what was the point? Because it's a lot of people talk about this film as being like a sexual awakening or, you know, taking agency over her life. And I don't know. I think it was also very much a social commentary on kind of privilege. And that was one of the better parts of the film for me, was when there was an awakening about kind of the cruelness that could be in the world, and the difference of, being on the ship with the wealthy versus what she saw these poor people, I think in Africa, if I'm remembering right.
And just from a technical level, I mean, Emma Stone is doing things in this movie that I have never seen anybody do.
She took on this role that there is no reference for,
Hmm.
at least I'm not aware of, but I feel like she did it perfect.
Yeah.
It was really impressive, like the physicality of that role
Mhm.
and the speech patterns and how those changed.
I can't imagine anyone else playing this role. I could imagine a lot of actresses playing Naiad, perhaps. I can't imagine anybody else playing Bella Baxter. Like she just owned it and she just made it completely hers. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and they were working on the character, I want to say like for 6 years or something. It was a really long time
Yeah.
that they went from kind of thinking about doing it to actually doing it.
To see, through all of these things and understanding how this world is run and learning the rules of it and learning how to change those rules, and to see that, like she really does have a heart, and she has, like she can affect good change. I would have loved if the movie could have gone a little further in that direction at times. We do spend a lot of time in the brothel,
Yeah.
which,
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
okay, I get, I mean,
Yeah, we get it. We don't,
yeah,
yeah.
um,
Let's leave something to the imagination with that,
right.
right? Like, come on.
Right, right. I mean, I will say though, I do admire a movie willing to be so like bold about it. But to each his own.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, are we doing that for the sake of doing it? That's kind of what it felt like to me at
Yeah,
a
yeah,
certain point. I like to check on Rotten Tomatoes about audience rating versus critic rating. And right before
yeah.
I went, I wish I would have written it down, but before I went to see it, it was definitely like in the 80s, like the audience rating, critic rating in the 90s. And when I went to check it yesterday, it was at 79%. It definitely went down. And I think maybe, there's more, the film got an Oscar nomination, so there's more people going to see it, maybe people that this isn't like their thing necessarily.
Mhm.
And I think that's maybe driving the audience rating down. That I thought was interesting.
Yeah. What's nice about awards season is that it does bring attention to unusual fare, like it or not. One of my favorite movies this year was this one, and another one which I'm glad you don't have to see is Beau is Afraid with Joaquin Phoenix. And there are certain movies where I'm just like, I think this was made for just me and maybe like four other people. Um,
I don't know what is going on with my brain, because when you talked about Beau is Afraid, like it kind of made me want to watch it, even though I
mm,
know that I shouldn't,
no.
Like I saw you talk about it, I'm like, ooh, ooh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's 3 hours, so that might be a check against it. It's
Especially if it's just a parade of trauma, which is what it sounds like it was.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, no, this is not a movie for Michelle. So I'm glad that you have been spared.
Thank you. I will accept that and I will not subject myself to it. But I'm really glad they gave that guy the goat brain.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That saved the film.
Yeah.
That made the film for me, literally. That scene, that's probably why I felt good walking out of it. I'm like,
Mm,
thank you.
yeah. Yeah.
Use your evil
Oh,
mad scientist for good.
yeah. Yeah. I thought that twist was pretty incredible. I was not expecting that her old life as the woman who took her own life would come back. Yeah, to have that outcome. And it's the last scene. It's like a punchline on the whole movie, which
It's
is also kind of
fantastic.
weird and bold, but it is definitely that feel good ending.
I think, well, so I think that they needed that part. Like,
Mm,
I think it helped the audience, or at least it helped me be more okay with what happened to her.
mm,
This whole idea of her, like, someone deciding to take her baby that maybe could have been saved and put the brain, I mean, all of that dark, crazy stuff.
yeah,
Seeing what she came from kind of helped make that all right in a sense,
right.
And
Yeah.
I think maybe that was part of why it was in there.
That was Poor Things. It's currently in theaters. and see it or don't. It's crazy.
Bring a buddy. Bring a buddy.
Bring
So
a buddy.
you can drive home and say, what the hell did we just watch?
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. We're going to be doing some more of these videos talking about Oscar-nominated films, so yeah, stay tuned. We have a couple fun ones coming up. I'll be talking with Michelle on some other videos, and also want to take this opportunity to plug myself. I am a filmmaker, I am a director, a screenwriter, and an editor, and would love to work with you if you have ideas for storytelling videos, either for your business or for other needs. Let's have a chat.